everyone. It's time again to recap the latest news of the solar PV industry compiled by the American Solar Energy Society. I'm Jay Warmke with SolarPVTraining.com, and this is what's happening in the wonderful world of solar for the week of January 12th. 13 states now have requirements to move to 100% carbon-free or renewable electricity by the year 2050, and another 2 states have set these goals of 100% renewable, but they're not exactly laws just yet. Vermont is the latest state to require carbon-free energy with a bill that became law last year when the Democrats took control of the legislature and overrode the veto of a Republican governor. President Joe Biden announced an executive action Monday that protects more than 625 million acres of U.S. coastal land from future offshore oil drilling. The ban on new offshore oil and gas leasing extends to pretty much all of the U.S. coastal waters, includes the entire East Coast, the eastern coast of the Gulf of Mexico, the Pacific Ocean off Washington, Oregon, and California, as well as parts of the Bering Sea up around Alaska. Now, President-elect Donald Trump has vowed that he will undo this ban as soon as he takes office, according to the Washington Post. However, according to the New York Times, reversing it may be not as simple as all that. Biden invoked the 1953 Outer Continental Shelf Lands Act, which gives the president broad authority to withdraw federal waters from future oil and gas development. To reverse this ban, Trump would first have to get Congress to change the law. The immediate impact of Biden's ban is pretty minimal. It covers areas that have seen very little oil and gas development or are already banned from future oil and gas development. Consistent with his vision for energy policy, President-elect Donald Trump has last week stated that no new windmills will be built in the United States once he takes office. Now, again, this may be a promise that's going to be hard to keep. Once back in office, Trump will have control or influence over what is built in federal waters as well as on federal lands, but pretty much has no control over what might be built on private property. It appears that he'll likely advise the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management against issuing any new offshore wind leases, but he cannot do anything really about those leases that have already been issued. Solar installation continues to grow year over year, and commercial solar saw a significant rise in 2024. According to the Solar Market Insights report from CEA, the Solar Energy Industries Association, commercial solar grew about 44% in 2024 compared with the same period of time in 2023. Residential solar saw an increase of 39%, and community solar saw a year-on-year growth of around 12%. Solar accounted for 64% of all new electric generating capacity added to the U.S. grid during 2024. But while 2024 was a record year for solar, the industry appears braced for a downturn in 2025. The 2 leading manufacturers of residential solar rooftop inverters have announced recent layoffs to their workforce. SolarEdge Technology, a provider of DC-optimized inverter systems, completed its 4th round of layoffs just in the last couple of months, laying off more than 400 workers this time. Now, SolarEdge is facing 2 main challenges. High interest rates in the United States is making rooftop solar at the residential level a bit less attractive. And in anticipation, or when the war in the Ukraine broke out, in anticipation of increased demand as well as cutoff of natural gas imports from Russia, installers stockpiled quite a lot of equipment. The demand has not been as large as was expected, so there's a glut of materials there, which has also caused them a problem. In November, Enphase announced that it's going to be laying off 17% of its global workforce. These moves are in anticipation that these higher interest rates will continue and that there are changes in net metering policies here in the U.S. that have led experts to project that in 2025, we should see about a 19% decline in residential solar installations. And if 2024 was a good year for solar, then it was a spectacular year for battery storage. The ability to store large amounts of electricity was essentially non-existent a decade ago. Well, by the end of the year, there's 24 gigawatt hours of battery capacity nationwide. That's up about 71% over 2023. However, the integration of battery storage on the grid has not been adopted evenly across the nation. As of November, 86% of the large-scale battery storage in the U.S. was in just 4 states. Leading the charge was California with 11 gigawatt hours operating. Texas followed with 6 gigawatts. Arizona saw 2 gigawatt hours installed, and Nevada, which was 4th, installed about 1.1 gigawatts operational. And that's the news from the solar industry for this week. We'll see you next week.